Which Golden Knight is the most clutch? It used to be Jonathan Marchessault, but which VGK player now is the most clutch? Next on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. I'm a longtime sportscaster. I am the host of Believe in Vegas podcast on the Believe Network. And this week, we've got special guest Phil Steele of the College Football Preview. He is Chris Golick, and Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News.
Hot coffee.
Yeah, hot coffee. Hot mic too. Coming up ahead on today's show, we will talk about who's the most clutch VGK player, but also the total that Chris came up with. I believe you just conjured this up. 35 and a hook on the goals for Pavel Dorofeyev. And is 84 games too much? We are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. So once upon a time, storytelling time, I guess, I feel as though it was a no-brainer to say that Jonathan Marchessault had earned the title of Mr. Clutch or Most Clutch. And after all, he had 32, the most game-winning goals for VGK. And led the Golden Knights with 13 goals, 25 points in the Cup playoffs 2 seasons ago. What also made him clutch was, of course, he won the Cup. He won the Conn Smythe. In doing so, during that run, 10 of his 13 goals either gave VGK the lead or they tied the game. And so Game 6 versus Edmonton, of course, he had that hat trick. So who do you feel now he passed the baton to? Maybe perhaps last season for the Golden Knights. And who is the future Mr. Clutch for VGK?
I think up and coming, Dorofeyev. We're going to hit more about him in the second segment. But the stats 100% point to Tomas Hertl being the most clutch Vegas Golden Knight player. Some money puck stats, expected goals throughout the season were 33. Next highest Golden Knights player was Dorofeyev with 28.1. A couple other stats that had my attention here as soon as I get to it. Well, number one is face-off percentage, 59.9%. 55.9. Does that equate to clutch? Kind of, because he wins a face-off. It's going to create a scoring opportunity. Expected goals per 60 minutes, 1.59. Next closest VGK is Dorofeyev. Goals per 60, 1.54. Let's see here. I thought I saw, shooting percentage 18.1%, has him right around third on the team as well. And then I found one more stat: high danger unblocked shot attempts 57. Next closest Golden Knights player, Jack Eichel, 33. So the stats are telling me Hertl, no way, no how, end of story.
Wow. I went in a different direction and looked at game-winning goals. Eichel only 14, believe it or not. That's kind of surprising. William Lars Karlsson, and this is in franchise history, is ranked second with 24 game winners. Mark Stone is 23, Riley Smith 21. But again, that doesn't tell the entire story. And it's about when the goals are scored. Would you have to agree with that theory?
It's about when the goals are scored, absolutely. And it's about, I think even more than that, it's about the feeling you get in the moments. There's 4 minutes left in the game. It's a 1-goal game. The goalie's not pulled yet. I see my camera blinking. That's new, but whatever. We're okay.
Something new. It's something new.
There's 4 minutes left in the game. Low face-off. Hertl hopefully wins that face-off. Whose stick do you want the puck on? And I don't feel Hertl is that player. That's the thing. Like, I don't get that feeling like Hertl is the one who's going to get that snipe and everything. I know Hertl's got a plethora of accolades as far as what I just went over that makes him the most clutch. But at this point, when I'm talking about these two stats, I'm thinking about that Jack Eichel goal against Winnipeg a couple seasons ago. I think it was the Stanley Cup year. Overtime goal. There's like 8 seconds left. He drives the puck from the left boards and winds. I don't know if it was Hellebuck in that game. Doesn't matter. But point being is he went around basically every player on the ice and found a way to score that goal. Dorofeyev has that lethal shot that can find it. And then again, you set the scene earlier with Marchessault. We're comparing everything to Marchessault because he is the most clutch VGK player that this franchise has had. So, yeah.
Last season, Mitch Marner, 7 game-winning goals for his career, 37 game winners. Perhaps the greatest goal ever for him was the overtime game winner against Sweden there in the Four Nations this past winter. So to me, that's saying clutch to me too.
Mitch Marner, you're definitely going to see a different side of. Mitch Marner has always had Austin Matthews around to bury the puck, and I think Austin Matthews had a 69-goal season once or something like that. So he's always had that out, if you will. Pass it to Austin Matthews. Matthews is going to score. Well, now there's a possibility. We'll see. I mean, at some points, whether it's the entire season or pockets of the season, Eichel and Marner are going to be on the same line. Those two are going to create tons of space for one another. And who's ever on the left wing of that line is going to be gets the draw of the century, right? I mean, they're going to have so much open ice to go to work with. But when Eichel has the puck, people collapse on him. When Marner has the puck, people collapse on him. So you do wonder what kind of scoring touch Mitch Marner has. We just got to look at Mitch Marner actually donning his VGK practice gear the other day. He looked like he was, I joked, looked like he was shooting on a Samsonov. I think he was at some rink somewhere, and I think there's like a junior C-level goalie camp going or something, and like, hey, stay on the ice. We got a guy who's gonna take some shots on you. And
it was
Mitch Marner just torching you.
It was Marner versus the beer leaguer. They've already.
I think it was Samsonov. It was Samsonov. Is what it looked like. You think
it was? So
I mean, he led in every shot. So
all I saw, Chris, were the VGK gloves. Was that it? Or did he?
I don't know. The tweet that came out was it's his first time wearing. Oh boy, this camera! It's his first time, and the audio is working, so we keep going no matter what here. But it basically, someone said like it was his first time wearing any of his VGK kit, I guess. So whatever.
The big question is, who do you want to take that shot in the budgeted Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final?
Budget.
We're going to budget for that. Sorry, I had to do that. Who do you want to have the puck right then and there to either tie a game or to win a game? I want Eichel to be carrying the puck and perhaps Marner taking the shot. That's just my feeling. I know I'm overdoing it with the Marner madness, but let's face it.
I've got some Matrix stuff going on my camera right now. See if I can get this fixed during the next segment here. No, we'll keep going. We're fine. So shooting percentage is big with me. 20.7 for Ivan Barbashev. Who's next in the shooting percentage? How about Brett Howden at 18.7%? Tomas Hertl is 18.1%. So Barbashev needs to shoot more, Tony.
Yeah, I think so too. Barbashev needs to shoot. Well, everyone is going to need to shoot more. And we're going to just kind of preview this next segment just for a moment here. But it's hard to believe that, talk about efficiency, but Pavel Dorofeyev, like, literally takes only 3 shots per game. We're going to step aside. Coming up next.
Yeah, take us to the break.
That's what I'm doing. Coming up next, Chris the Tout Golick posted a total of 35 and a hook goals for Pavel Dorofeyev. Our opinions over or under that number next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. We apologize for some technical issues, but we are brought to you today by Gametime, and we've all been there. logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets, and you wait for those to go on sale, and only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be all about making memories, right? Not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping or dealing with computer issues. That's where Gametime comes in. And Gametime makes concert tickets, getting them a lot easier than ever before. Prices actually drop the closer it gets to the showtime, and you can also save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling trying to get the best deal, well, then check out Gametime's zone deals, and you can pick the best seats in your section for you. If you're worried about what happens if your plans change, the Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and much, much more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today for concerts and shows with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll receive $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights from Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting. Gametime came in handy. Guess what? I broke down and I bought 2 tickets for the Marner game here. VGK against Toronto. I did. I broke down and bought tickets, and I got a really good deal on Gametime. And there's still plenty of good seats available. And I'm down in the lower bowl right there in the corner. I saw my seat view. I'm ready to go. So just as long as I'm not sitting next to Golick, because he eats a lot of peanuts and drinks a lot of beers during the games and throws the shells on the
One beer limit. Like an
we call this a Chris Golick special. And no, we're not talking about his camera work. But you put up a total of 35.5 goals for Pavel Dorofeyev going into the final year, right, of his current contract. Dorofeyev, a third-round selection, pick number 79, and it's paid off huge dividends. That was back in, 2019. Debuted with the VGK in 2021, has spent a ton of time down on the farm at HSK, and he was an NHL All-Star. I guess that he was an MHL All-Star. Sorry, that's Minor Hockey League in Russia, an MHL All-Star, and he's represented Russia in the under-18 World Championship. So that's the background there, and very few people other than Chris could see another breakout campaign. You saw it last year, and now you think maybe perhaps he's got another one in store?
I definitely do. I was actually trying to go on the FanDuel Sportsbook app here. I wanted to see if they had any individual props for over/under goals yet, and the only player special they have right now is actually Mitch Marner versus Austin Matthews head-to-head regular season points. Mitch Marner is -142, Austin Matthews +114. So I got a chuckle out of that right there.
We got to bet it. We got to bet that.
I mean, it's Marner all day because he's going to probably score as many assists as Matthews' goals. And
Correct.
Matthews doesn't get the assists. So yeah, Dorofeyev here. I mean, I love the story here. Number one, I still look at his, I still wonder what the scouts saw. Number one, so in the KHL, in his last full KHL season was 2019-20, 48 games, 7 points, 4 goals, and then he plays in the RUS/VHL. Which, and you said MHL before that, so I want, is VHL in between the MHL and the KHL? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so he played
first he was
36 games,
then moved up, right?
36 games and 17 points. He has never had more goals in his Russian games than when he came to Vegas in the 24-25 season. So this is some excellent scouting work. I'm sure this is the type of player that maybe one scout has his thumbprint on, like, this is my guy, you're drafting this guy. And he got in the ear of Kelly McCrimmon, and George McPhee for, a couple of years or something like that. And here we are talking about Dorofeyev being possibly one of the most clutch players and an over-under of 35-point goals. It's a great story.
Yeah, it is a great story. And I would have to say, I think that they scouted him 57 and a hook times,
I'll bet it's
probably.
probably double that, but yeah.
Yeah. And that's how they found him, though. But it's an unbelievable story, as you mentioned. And I know you were so high on him coming up there to play for VGK a season ago, 35 goals for the Golden Knights this past season, a jump up from 13 goals in 47 games in 23-24, and 17 power play goals as well. That was where he was really huge, and people want to take him off of that PP1. Not a chance. Not a chance.
No, I don't think so. And the biggest benefit now that Dorofeyev is going to have is the likelihood of, if the Golden Knights need a hero line, we're talking late in the game and not necessarily when the
A
goalie is
clutch
pulled yet.
line? Maybe a clutch line.
A clutch line, there you go. Your clutch line is now Eichel, Marner, and Dorofeyev, obviously fatigue pending in the moment and everything. But that is your forward. That's your hero line. And then when the net is empty, those three are definitely out there as well. The other benefit for Dorofeyev is the fact that he is likely going to spend 90% of his 5-on-5 shifts with one of those two players on his line, whether it's Eichel in the middle or Mitch Marner over on the right. So that's the other thing. So that's why the argument 35 and a hook, you got 35 goals last year, played a full 82 games. I think you can see the first 40-year-old season for the 24-year-old born October 26th in the year 2000.
You said a 40-year-old season. I think you meant goals.
40
will
goal,
the minutes,
40 goal season, whatever. Yeah, 40 year
will
old.
the minutes be the same? He
Camera.
averaged 1632, but any chance that, Marner, if he does play on a second line, cuts into that number?
Lowers Dorofeyev's ice time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, cuts into the
I don't
number
think
of
so.
16 and
I
a
don't think
half.
so. I mean, I think the way it cuts into that number is the situations when the top line is Eichel and Marner, and then at that point, it's not likely, unless obviously they need a goal in the hero line. When you have Eichel and Marner on the same line, I don't think you have Dorofeyev on the line with them. I think you need that balance. Then you have Dorofeyev with Hertl or William Karlsson, depending on the circumstances. So in situations when Coach Cassidy says, okay, we're going to go full on Edmonton Oilers and Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, you guys triple shift out there, then yes, those moments will slightly cut into Dorofeyev's minutes. But again, when if Coach Cassidy is triple shifting Eichel and Marner, it's because the game is on the line. It's because the Golden Knights need a goal. Dorofeyev is going to be out there in that moment. So I look for Dorofeyev's goals to increase year over year, health pending, of course. I look for Dorofeyev's average time on ice to improve year over year as well.
Yeah, and I don't know about this
he has
season.
The trust of Cassidy. That's huge. Circle of trust.
How do you say that in Russian?
I say put that on a napkin for another episode.
Yeah, that is another napkin episode. But about 3 shots per game, am I correct? You know how great I am at math. That would be really efficient if that's all he's shooting the puck. So he does have a lot of high danger chances. And of course, I think one of his strengths is just the way he doesn't waste any motion. The puck gets to him and he just puts it on net. And that's what we want to see more of this upcoming season.
100%. And Dorofeyev shooting. So a couple things. Dorofeyev, his shot attempts per 60 minutes of ice time are 19.3. Again, that's shot attempts, not shots on goal. Okay. Shots on goal per game averages out to 3.1.
Okay.
Shot attempts per game, 5.3. So he's shooting the puck about 5 times a game. About 3 of them are getting through to the net.
Okay. So I was
13.8 shooting percentage, which is actually a low. He's number 7 or 8 overall on the team, which also tells me he's shooting everything.
I don't believe he's going to go over the goal total there. I don't. I just think, of course, they do want a higher volume of shots, yes, but when does VGK also get a deal done with Dorofeyev, pay him the rubles he deserves? If he were a WNBA player, he could wear that T-shirt. It would behoove VGK, I believe, to get an extension done now. Let's see if that was a fluke season. That's my opinion.
being RFA, that's the only thing. And I think put you like this: if he does get extended now, it's going to be in VGK's interest. It's going to be a deal that benefits VGK. Dorofeyev's like, just wait and watch what I do this season. Pay me $7 million next year.
Coming up next, there's some critics about this new 84-game schedule after a new CBA was ratified. We'll talk about that as we return on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Don't forget tomorrow's WTF Day right here. So please leave all of your comments on the X or, of course, on YouTube, where I'm sure all of you do subscribe. Our clutch player of the day was Golick, man. Fixed the camera. I don't know what you did there. Don't forget, of course, on Saturdays as well, we sometimes have the Chris Times Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive. So on the surface, right, I feel on the ice, on the surface, I feel that the added 2 games to the NHL regular season are a good thing, right? You know, starting with the 26-27 campaign. And I looked, they had in this one article that I read, what was that? Daily Faceoff, I believe. The max amount of games is 112. Back in 1992 and 93, they also experimented, which I didn't recall, with an 82-game schedule. And that just went, I guess, up in smoke. But the Daily Faceoff saying that it takes 2 games away from the preseason. Okay, that's a good thing. I think the preseason is a little bit too lengthy, personally. And who needs preseason when you could bank more money by playing, you know, the one game at home, the one on the road? And I think, again, from a monetary standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. But are they talking about them playing too many games in the NHL? Why?
So let's talk about the NFL for a second here. NFL made a great change, adding a game and getting rid of one preseason game, right? I think that was the final situation.
There's just 3 now. There used to be 5, so it could be
okay,
2.
fair enough. Yeah. So point being is the NFL made a great change. Now, what the NFL does not do is pause the season in, let's call it November, and send the players to the Olympics and send them to the Four Nations exhibition tournaments, or insert any international tournament instead of the All-Star game. So yes, at face value, 84 games is absolutely wonderful. Preseason, we don't need to see the 4th starting goaltender in the system. We don't need to see players who are going to be playing in Henderson and up in Lake Tahoe or going back to their junior programs. We can get plenty of that on film study. We don't need to see that live, number one. Now, why I set the table with the international stuff. What happens in February of 2027? Is it an all-star game? It's not going to be Olympics, obviously, but is it an all-star game? Which if it's not a traditional all-star weekend, fine. 84 games is great. No problem at all. Is it going to be another exhibition tournament? Are the 4 nations back? Is it now the 6 nations? Is it now the 8 nations? You know the NHL is going to try and monetize international play because it was wonderful for the 4 nations as far as the interest and the money and the TV and everything that happened. It blew the doors off of whatever the best ever NHL All-Star game was in the history of NHL All-Star games, which are traditionally an absolute snooze fest and terrible to watch, especially the skills competition. That's pretty much going south every single year. Last one was okay, but whatever. So if the NHL comes out with the 4 nations again in 2027 while playing an 84-game schedule, that's going to be tough. The schedule is so condensed coming out of the Olympics. It was so condensed coming out of the 4 nations. I think there's some pushback from a lot of people if that happens.
It's also 2 more games of LTIR, bro. 2 more games.
Yeah, but the LTIR changes though now in that season. As far as it really doesn't happen in the playoffs anymore, but we'll find a way around that.
I agree with you because, again, we could see the return of 4 nations or some sort of all-star format after the Olympic Games. I think they need.
I think they want something meaningful. Down. I think the NHL is going to want something meaningful in there.
Oh, so no more shooting pucks into Lake Bellagio.
I'm
going to miss that.
Shooting pucks in the lake. The only thing worse than that was the blackjack game on the strip. That was terrible.
It lasted forever.
Sucking the air out of the arena. It's terrible. Tony, me and Chris were there, and we're like, okay, we're having fun watching the skating, the skills competition was cute, whatever. And then, okay, you can't even hear the audio. It was terrible. The in-arena experience was absolutely brutal for that. Anyway,
it was bad, yeah. And then things were rigged there with Pietrangelo.
That was the worst.
Winning
dude misses the net and wins the All-Stars and wins the shootout. Good God!
Did he get a new car?
Wasn't John Hamm the one voting for it? Who's a Blues fan and likes Pietrangelo? Yeah. That's the story there.
That was the story. I thought initially, well, hey, let's face it though, like the
Not
players,
Pietrangelo, John Hamm.
The players had to ratify this, so they're all good with it, I suppose.
Well, McDavid, are you talking about the schedule? I thought you were talking about the All-Star skills competition. McDavid actually had a much higher stake as far as the skills competition went last time, as far as preparing it and everything. But yes, listen, the players have to get behind. The players have to get behind it. The NHLPA has to get behind it and everything. I don't know if the players say, okay, we're playing 2 more games, we should get paid more money. I don't know how the finances work in that, or I think that's part of the rising salary cap, so maybe they're getting paid for it down the road in the next contract, whatever, who cares? But yes, the players have to be behind it. The NHLPA has to be behind it. The owners are behind it because one more regular season gate or one less preseason gate. Obviously, we know the answer to that question. Even in Vegas, the preseason has, for as it gets deeper, maybe it's 85% full. Some of the other earlier preseason games can be far less than that. So, yeah, the players are behind it, just like the players were behind the 4 nations and return to the Olympics. That's important to recognize that the players do want this. And face value, it's all good. Concerns coming out of whatever the February, we'll call it the February break. Concerns are coming out of the February break and condensing that schedule even more. Now, maybe instead of having that extra 5 calendar day off during the regular season where it's like your bye week, so to speak, maybe you make that a 4-day bye week instead. And that doesn't seem like it's that bad.
Yeah. The Olympics are going to be dull compared to 4 nations. No fighting. It's going to be interesting. That'll cut down on some injuries perhaps. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're going to have to learn how to not fight. That's pretty interesting as well.
They're probably playing on the bigger sheet of ice too. So the 4 nations was NHL-sized ice. My assumption is they'll be on the Olympic ice, which is wider, which makes for a little more of a skill game, less hitting, more finesse, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to be so curious to see how that shakes out there. And the max games that a team could play, though, now with the 2 additional games during the course of an NHL season is 112. That's a lot. That's a lot of games, and that's a lot of wear and tear on those tires.
110, 112, there's no difference at that point. It's like saying 117 degrees or 120 degrees outside. They both suck.
Okay, while we're on this topic, okay, so coming out of 4 nations or the Olympics or whatever that structure is going to be, do you feel that Cassidy has to manage things better rather than, I would no way put a decision into the hands of a player who says, yeah, I want to continue to play, when you could tell they're gassed? I mean, when you looked at Eichel, when you looked at Stoney and some of the players out there on the ice after. Stoney. Yeah, I had to do that.
You sound like Cassidy.
Yeah. When you look, I was trying. When you look at players, coming out of the 4 nations, man, they were on fumes. They absolutely were. And it didn't end for a while. It just accumulated. And I think moving forward, you have to manage that better. That's my personal opinion.
Yes, but the same the NBA. They're not going to sit out games just because they're tired. There has to be an injury. That's just how the NHL is built. Now, practice time, day of game skates, that's where you manage it. You don't need them practicing in the middle of a road trip or something like that coming out of, especially with the BGK schedule of the Olympics. Manage it with practices, manage it with morning skates and things like that. Cut the minutes down. You saw that happen last year. A lot of the players' minutes who were playing 22 minutes a game dropped to 20 minutes a game from March on. So that was a noticeable change as well. But no one's sitting out a game unless there's an injury, end of story.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers who put up with our shenanigans every day. Again, Mr. Clutch is Golic because he saved the day with his camera. I don't know.
I made the basket there with the paper too.
You're having a day, brother. Bet that parlay.
I'm playing hockey this morning in America First, so see if I can find a goal or two.
What time?
10 a.m. Come on down. Bring me beer. Bring beer.
All right.
We
appreciate you tuning in. Tomorrow's WTF Day from a man, Chris Golic, Tony Cardasco reporting from Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights, and please take care.